Hey, it's Tony.
And Hans.
And we are Dragged Under, and you're watching the Student Music Network.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Student Music Network. It's the Saturday of Download Festival, and I'm joined by Hans and Tony from Dragged Under. How are we doing?
Hello, good.
This is sponsored by Sprite.
This video is sponsored by Sprite. That's a nice kind of Sprite you got there.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite literally all there was to drink in the green room besides booze, so here we are.
I mean, any cold drink will do on this sunny, I mean, the sun's just gone in as I say this, but it's quite a warm Download Festival for...
That's what we've heard, yeah.
Have you played the festival before?
This is our very first time.
So, in 2019, which is the only other year I've been here, they nicknamed it Drownload because there was so much mud. So, I'm glad that we have...
He didn't like that.
at least some nice weather this weekend. How was your set, guys, first of all?
Yeah, good. I mean, we didn't know what to expect. Had zero expectations going in. But had a great time. Crowd was very reactive. You know, we watched the band before us play. I think that was Salem.
Yep.
And they were great. And the crowd was fucking loving them. And so to go up after that, I was like, oh, I don't know what it's gonna be like. Like I don't know if they're gonna react like they did for them because they're a local band. Not local, but they're from UK. And yeah, we got up there and people were great and we had a fucking blast and sounded amazing in there. The room was fucking cool. And you're in a tent, right? So it's a little bit like reverberous, cavernous. You kind of get the sound coming back to you, so that was great.
Yeah, and I do feel that a big part of Download Festival is that everyone's here for a good time. New bands they perhaps haven't heard of, haven't seen, they're always going to be in their favour. I feel it's definitely just good vibes all around. But a massive weekend for you guys, eh? An album and Download Festival in the same weekend.
Yeah, popped out.
Was that always the plan, or did you sort of realise
that was just kind of happenstance, right? Kind of like universal idiosyncratic kind of thing.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if it was planned. If it was planned, we planned it.
I think that once we secured the download spot, I think that the record label was like, all right, we'll just put it down. Like we'll put it out the same weekend.
Yeah.
So I think really it was paired with the start of the tour, and this was supposed to be the initial start of the tour, but we booked one show before this just as a warm up. So yeah, I think that was always the plan to coordinate it with the tour. But I don't know. Smarter people than me are paid more money to figure that stuff out. I'm just here.
I'm going to say yes, we planned it. 100%.
You did plan it. And
edit all that out. It was planned.
And what a plan indeed. I mean, there's sometimes a massive gap where bands are like dying to get their album out on tour, but none of that for you. Straight in at the deep end.
That happened last time too. Our first record, as well. We went on tour with the Used right when our record was released, so we need a three-peat next year. Yeah.
Bang, 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 one after the other. But the first thing I wanted to bring up about your album was the artwork. I mean, what animal actually is it? Because
that's a vulture.
It's a vulture, okay.
Yeah.
I was vulture, eagle, I wasn't quite sure. But I just love the consistency that you've had it across all the singles and now on the artwork. It's proper, like, majestic, and it is an upright animal, as you say. How did the artwork come about?
You know, we try to have like a lot of intention when we do this kind of stuff, right? Like what we call full package. And making sure that like everything feels like you said, one push, right? Like one story, different chapters.
An era.
Exactly right. So, you know, with the first record, we had a guy who we hired to do all that stuff, and he just disappeared. He started like making NFTs, and then he was gone from the world. So I reached out to him a few times and couldn't fucking get back to me, and so we hired another dude, Alan Ashcroft, to make the cover. And then we just decided that we wanted to kind of use that character, right? It's like our Eddie. So we wanted to have like a signature person or object that people could resonate to, right? Yeah. And in the first record, it was like just that style. You know, it was more the style than it was like the story, the character. But this one, it was like, well, let's just make the vulture, the upright animal, like he'll be the face of all of the songs. And so we have a guy at the label, Hunter, who's a great artist, and he basically took the master file that Alan made and made his own, you know, multiple versions of that for the different singles.
Yeah, nice. I think this will be remembered as the Vulture era, hopefully. Have you had any vultures dressed come to your shows yet, or do you think that's something that will happen?
Not quite, not yet.
No, but we've thought about doing like bringing it like one of our dudes out on stage in a vulture costume, or maybe selling them as a merch item, you know, vulture hats or something. But no, I haven't gotten quite that far yet with the marketing. and it's expensive to come over here. So we didn't bring a whole lot of merch with us. We basically just brought what'll get us through. And
right.
But yeah, we've got ideas for that stuff. It's just execution can be kind of difficult, you know.
Yeah, it's a big sort of process, but there's a lot of interesting outfits around Download Festival. Anything particularly weird that's caught your eye or cool so far? A
lot of shorts.
Yesterday we saw a T-Rex in the pit for Frank Carr and the Rattlesnakes, which
I
is
saw
quite cool.
a Spider-Man, flipping web, our whole show's guy by the pole. I saw a Spider-Man and a guy dressed as a Twinkie. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. Did you see those guys? No. Oh.
Are you guys planning to stick around for the rest of the weekend, or have you got to jet off to another?
We got to go to Glasgow this evening.
Ooh.
Yep.
It's a good place to go.
Is it?
Yeah. From what I haven't been there personally, but from speaking to people, the music scene there is.
What are some staples? What should we look out for?
What venue are you playing?
Cat House.
Cat House, yeah, that is a classic. King Tut's and the Barrowlands are like two of the other.
Yeah, we're gonna be at Tut's, but it got moved.
Got moved up, I'm guessing.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I think Tut's is like the very
got
small
moved up?
base level one. But
got moved up?
Basically, the general rule of thumb, and this is bad for me being from the south of England, but I'll admit it openly, is that the further north you go in the UK, the better the crowds are. So Glasgow is like probably one of the most northern cities. So
we're gonna text you if this doesn't pan out. So I'm gonna need your number and your number.
Well, if it doesn't pan out, I hate to break it to you, but London's not going to be any better.
I think this is over.
It's great. Big up Leeds. Shout out Leeds. If you're ever in Leeds, have you been to Leeds before?
No, never. We do have obviously the 2 London shows, but one of them is with the Ghost Inside.
Yeah.
So we're not terribly worried about the crowd for that one. It's been sold out for 2.5 years, and we've just been waiting to be able to actually come over and execute the show. But yeah, I mean, we're blessed that anybody cares. You know, people came out Milton Keynes. And I kept telling Sean, he's like, how many people do you think are going to come? Like 50? And I was like, I kept saying 12 paid. Like 12 people are going to come up and pay. And it was closer to 50 by the end of the night, which for a band that's from America, never been to the UK, playing in a place like Milton Keynes, like, man, what more could we ask for? You know what I mean? We're so great, gracious.
It's quite a contrast, I guess, to the venue of Milton Keynes to like the stage today. And looking at some of your new music, like Crooked Halos, for example, especially with the chorus, it feels like that song was sort of written to be played at a festival and stuff like that. How are you finding like the challenge of, I guess, the different spaces? And when you're writing your songs and writing this new album, Upright Animals, was that a part of the process that you actively thought about?
Say no.
Yeah, not really. You know, we write songs for how they sound coming out of the speakers in the studio, and how it feels to play them in the car or whatever. And we don't super think about it, and honestly, because a lot of times the songs we love maybe are not the songs that everybody else wants to push. So like Hans and I are primary writers, so we'll go in the studio, write the music with our producer, and we'll be like, these are the singles, and the label will go, no, I think these are the singles. It's like a drug deal. You push the card across the table and they push it back. And so so half the time it comes from like us being like, these are the songs we think are the ones, and then they'll disagree maybe, or so we don't always see eye to eye on that stuff. But so sometimes we're writing those songs thinking, this won't be a single, this is a B-side, and then the label's like, we fucking love it. And that's kind of what happened with Crooked Halos. Is for us it was like, that's a ballad, and we like the song. Nothing will ever make a record that we don't like, but yeah, we didn't expect it to be like the lead single of the record, and the label.
Happy accident almost.
Yeah, they had an idea for it, and we were like, okay, we'll try it your way, and it worked out, and we're happy about it. It's a fun song to play live. It's challenging, a lot of the notes are way up there, so it's not the easiest song in the world to play, but we practice it and pull it off, do our best.
Yeah, and another thing about the album is it feels not only an evolution of your sort of past sound, but also quite nostalgic in some of the like sounds you think of in other bands and whatever. How is that for you in the process? Are you always trying to be creative and innovative, or do you still like draw inspiration for the same artists and people that you've always?
Well, I feel like we think there's a spectrum that we like. I don't want to say borrow, but we try to inspire ourselves with bands that we like. Mm-hmm. Green Day, Sum 41, all that kind of stuff. So we'll leave that shit on like all day when we're in the studio, and then somebody will pop out like a melody line or a hook and be like, okay, turn that shit off, let's go with it, and then kind of subsequently write a song around it. Like you never really write a whole song.
Yeah.
There's kind of a little snippet, like a lyric or a chord, and then everything is constructed around that. So the writing process is kind of not what you think. It's not start to finish. It's usually like finished maybe. Like Crooked Halos, somebody had just a little melody idea, and we're like, oh shit, that sounds like a hook idea. Let's figure out some words. Let's figure out a verse. So it's reverse engineering a lot of the time.
I
Not
think I can expand on that too. You know, he's right. Like when it comes to songwriting, it's very cyclical. Like it's not linear. We started Crooked Halos with the crooked halos, the hook, and then it was like, well, how do we make this? How do we expand on this point? But yes, definitely was like, let's listen to less of the bands we listened to on the first record and get more inspiration from bands that are a little bit further back, like in the Jimmy Eat Worlds and like emo bands like My Chemical Romance and bands we grew up listening to in the 90s and in the 2000s. So it was very, very, very like early emo days for us when we were writing this record, to try to draw on some of that nostalgia and be like, man, what's the cool shit bands were doing when we were listening to them, right? And so that's where a lot of that comes from. So very intentional, but also we never know what to expect. It's like we think that's how it's gonna land, and then some people are like, yeah, it sounds like this, and I'm like, oh wow, that's not at all what we thought when we wrote it. We definitely didn't mean for it to sound like that, So a lot of people have. So it's nice to be able to listen with fresh ears sometimes, and that's I think the bummer being in a band is like we never get to listen with fresh ears. For the moment we're hearing it, it's like, okay, play it again.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, and especially recording vocals, like
writing,
both of us recording vocals, it's like, we'll do a shit take, and then it's like, okay, do it again. And so we have to listen to the same thing like 100 times, like, oh my God, just fucking let it end, So, but yeah.
No, we'll let you guys go now. Thank you. Have a fun night in Glasgow.
Thanks, Bubba.
Good luck with the rest of the tour.
Yeah.
And Upright Animals is out now.
Flowers to rid the bitter taste of violet.